I think a big part of our challenge is that we have to use new words and new ways of thinking. So democracy itself locks us in because we all think we know what it means, and as we're agreeing, we're probably living in a pseudo one anyway. Economy is a similar thing. So a post-economy, post-democracy world, and I think that's the sort of thing we can look at moving towards. And the sort of idea of confederated democracy, which is, building from a small, regional base where people get a say in how they live, and then they elect people to get a say in the broader sense. But getting, the nationless state, so getting rid of that notion of it's all led from the nation top sort of decision-making body, and that decisions actually get fed up from below. And I think these sort of conversations can feed that sort of process.
I have been an advocate of citizens' jury, I think, until tonight maybe. And I think Richard Walsh convinced me that the citizens' jury isn't a great model because of the lack of engagement it would cause. So maybe you hand decision-making over to a bunch of ordinary people, and to me that seems like a good idea. But if they're not elected, then the rest of the population says, that's handled, we don't need to worry about it anymore. So for me, I think that was one of the most interesting things, just because it changed my mind about something.
And in terms of changes to democracy, what would you like to see? What changes would you like to see so that it becomes a more real democracy that we're living in?
Yeah, I think for me, something that shifts the influence of money in democracy. And, it was sort of discussed a little bit tonight, and Genevieve certainly made some good points about that, I thought, and still no sort of significant answers, but the influence of money over our political system, to me, is one of the biggest hurdles and one of the things that creates our adversarial political system.
I found Richard incredibly inspiring, his passion and his insightfulness as a general point, but also just this very concise idea about having our democracy ruled by people who know about the issues and having it equally represented by everyone in the public. So those two things, representation and expertise, breaking apart the two political parties and the duopoly they have over our country.
You may already have answered my second question, but my second question is, what changes would you like to see to make the kind of democracy that you want to live in?
I think the answer from me from tonight came from something Cam said in the discussion about having a visioning session with the community over a long period of time, 1-2 years, to set up a really clear and shared vision that then government can either mirror, fall into line with, or really feel supported by. So I think it's actually about getting, and this is probably aligned with what Richard's model is about too, which is saying, if we have a more representative democracy, then more people are engaged and there's a greater dialogue. And so actually the starting point here, without changing the whole system, is actually getting people to have that conversation and present that vision locally.
Right.
When Cam was talking about shadowing government, so getting people and advocates involved in local government to shadow the government to make sure that they are doing what they said they were doing or what people want them to do, and that those shadowers are actually engaging those politicians, our local politicians, in dialogue that is representative of what people want, not what local government is, saying we need to do this because this is where we think we need to go. So I thought that was a really good idea and a good way of actually engaging people, but also making your government responsible and accountable